Tomorrow marks the end of a years-long investigation into a prominent local pain doctor, Dr. Gosy. Now, Dr. Gosy is going to be sentenced in court on Thursday afternoon. He pleaded guilty earlier this year after admitting that he prescribed powerful painkillers to a number of patients, despite some of them showing signs of addiction. Dr. Gosy's case was one of the many that shined a spotlight on the opioid crisis here in Western New York. He was indicted back in 2016, the height of the epidemic. More than 300 people died from overdoses in Erie County that year. The number of overdose deaths has dropped every year now since then. Tonight, 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ed Riley goes in depth. He takes a closer look now at the Gosy case and how it impacted the local medical community.
In April 2016, Dr. Eugene Gosy was indicted for illegally issuing prescriptions for narcotic painkillers. The Williamsville physician was also charged with healthcare fraud.
In each of them, represented failures in his Hippocratic oath.
Gosy and Associates was the largest pain management practice in New York State. After the indictment, the office shut down, creating a medical crisis as it left thousands of chronic pain patients with no treatment and nowhere to go.
They just don't realize what they do to the people.
A federal judge allowed Gosy to resume seeing patients under the supervision of another physician. But in November 2017, a superseding indictment upped the charges and accused Gosy of contributing to the death of 6 patients. Facing a lengthy trial, Gosy and his attorney Joel Daniels accepted a plea deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office, where Gosy entered guilty pleas to unlawfully conspiring to distribute controlled substances and committing healthcare fraud.
I wish they'd just leave him alone.
Hundreds of letters have been sent to the court showing support for Dr. Gosy as he hears his sentence, which could include 6.5 years in jail and $1 million fine.
So I think it made physicians tend to be more conservative in the medicines that they had prescribed.
The Gosy case and others like it, along with rising opioid-related deaths, changed the perception of how the medical community view opioids.
Hopefully the medical community will be better informed.
Students in the UB Medical School now get more instruction on painkillers and hold a group conference each year to talk about addiction issues.
We need to prescribe wisely. We need to prevent prescribing people into an addiction.
Dr. Richard Blondell is professor emeritus at the medical school. He said the opioid crisis highlights the 4 Ds that doctors faced: duped by patients who lied to get painkillers, dated by 1990s philosophy that encouraged greater use of opioids to treat pain, disabled by their own addiction problems, and dishonesty as some sought the money opioids provided.
These addiction disorders are brain diseases. There's an altered chemistry in the brain. There's an altered way the brain works.
The sentencing brings to a close the criminal case, but it does not end legal problems for Dr. Gosy, as he is now facing a medical malpractice lawsuit accusing him of overprescribing narcotics and causing permanent injuries to one of his patients. In Buffalo, Ed Riley, 7 Eyewitness News.